Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Earl and Arknolia are live once again. Well, not live. We're re-recording. We're recording this to upload later on to my channel. And it's been a while since we did any TV memories episode. So we're making up for that lost time with this episode that we're doing right now, spotlighting on what I consider probably the predecessor to reality TV, All in the Family, starring Carol O'Connor, Rob Reiner, Sally Struthers, and Gene Stapleton. Now, I remember watching this sitcom when it aired on CBS back in the 1970s. And it ran for about, I think it was 5 seasons, if I'm correct.
I think it was actually almost 9 seasons.
All right, Darren, let's see here. It's
January 12th, 1971 to April 8th, 1979.
okay, there is 9 seasons. You're right, it is. Afterwards,
And
it
then
was,
it followed, Archie Bunker's Place followed.
yes, exactly there. And many I believe it was many a couple other spin-offs that came from this series, including the Jeffersons, Maud, and all those shows were created by Mr. Norman Lear. And of course, Norman Lear was also the brains behind the program Good Times, which introduced us to Jimmy Walker, James Olmos, and many others as well. In fact, it fits to say that Good Times was probably one of the most, grittiest down to reality based TV shows out there, next to All in the Family. Because a lot of issues that was going on with All in the Family was often going on within the world at that time. So,
Yeah.
because at that time, the Vietnam War was still raging on. There was a lot of black revolutionary issues going on. There was a lot of protests against war that was happening as well, that were becoming violent themselves. There were all these radical groups forming, the SLA being one of them, which of course kidnapped Patty Hearst, you know, and basically it was basically it cut it down to some real issues that was going on at that time. Now, probably one of the biggest gems of that program was, of course, Carol O'Connor, who portrayed Archie Bunker, father of father whose daughter Gloria was dating this guy who he often called Meathead.
Actually, she was married to him.
And she was married to him, but they didn't have a place at their own at that time. But what it was is that apparently the feuds between Rob Reiner's Mike Stivic and Archie Bunker were definitely legendary on the show. They would argue left or right about politics, who's right, who's wrong. And basically, it's how it plays out today between the Democrats and the Republicans. When you think about it, both sides bicker left and right. In fact, here's something else. There were two albums that were inspired by this series, featuring the cast themselves, that came out on Atlantic Records years later on. Now, it was based on a British sitcom called "Till Death Do Us Apart," and I never really saw episodes of that program, but from what I understand, it was I don't I'm not I do not know too much about "Till Death Do Us Part," the series, which ran on British TV, but unfortunately, I can't really go on any further. But here's the thing: it was a it was produced by Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin. It started, of course, Carol Connor, Stapleton, Sally Struthers, and Rob Reiner, the son of Carl Reiner. You may remember the skit that Carl did with Mel Brooks back in that day. The show revolves around the life of a working class man and his family, and the show broke ground in the depiction of issues previously considered unsuitable for a U.S. network television comedy, such as LGBTQ, homosexuality, infidelity, atheism, women's liberation, rape, religion, miscarriages, abortion, breast cancer, the Vietnam War, menopause, and impotence, and mostly racism. Archie Bunker was a racist, as everybody knows, who grew up watching the show. He would use a lot of racist terms towards blacks, Hispanics, and though depicting these controversial issues, the series became no doubt one of TV's most influential comedy programs, as it injected the sitcom format with more dramatic moments and realistic topical conflicts. It's often regarded in the United States as one of the greatest TV series in history. The show soon became the most watched show in the US during the summer reruns of the first season, and afterwards it ranked at number one in the yearly Nielsen ratings from 71 to 76. It also became the first TV series to reach the milestone of having topped the Nielsen ratings for 5 consecutive years. Wow. The episode, Sammy's Visit, was ranked number 12 on TV Guide's 100 Greatest Episodes of All Time. This is the episode where Sammy Davis Jr. Guest spots on that program. All in the Family was ranked at number 4 of their top 40 TV lists, I guess. Bravo also named the show's protagonist, Archie Bunker, one of TV's greatest character. In 2013, the Writers Guild of America ranked the TV show the fourth best written TV series ever. And this soon to be past year, Variety ranked the show number 16 on its list of the 100 greatest TV shows of all time. And it's about, of course, as we know, a working class white American family living in Queens, New York. Archie Bunker, played by Carroll O'Connor, is an outspoken, narrow minded man seemingly prejudiced against everyone who is not like him or his ideas of how people should be. His wife, Edith, is a sweet and understanding human being, somewhat naive and uneducated. Her husband often calls her Dingbat. Their one child, Gloria, played by Sally Struthers, is kind, good natured, like her mom, but displays traces of her father's stubbornness and temper. Unlike them, she is a feminist. She's also married to a college graduate named Mike Stivic, who later becomes a college instructor. He's often called by Archie Meathead. That's how many times people have used that on one another there, whose values are somewhat influenced, shaped by the counterculture of the 1960s. The two couples represent the real life clash of values between the greatest generation and the baby boomers. And for much of the series, the Stivics live in the bunker's home to save money, providing abundant opportunity for them to irritate each other. And the show is set, as mentioned, Queens, with the vast majority of scenes taking place within the bunker's home at the address 704 Hauser Street. Now, you may remember there was a series named after that street that came afterwards featuring a black family, American black family. John Amos, who played on Good Times, as I mentioned, played the father, but the roles were reversed. The son was a conservative, while the father was more liberal. And apparently, the series didn't really do that well, but neither did the spin off Gloria, featuring Struthers in a series of her own. On occasional scenes take place in other locations and in later seasons, such as a place called Kelsey's Bar, a neighborhood tavern that Archie spends a good time deal in and eventually purchases. And the Stivics' home after Mike and Gloria move out. Supporting characters represent the changing demographics of the neighborhood, especially the Jeffersons. hmm As I mentioned, they would get a series of their own. A black family who lived to the house next door in the early seasons of the show, and then leaves the area for the higher and upper east side of Manhattan after George, the husband, made a fortune with his dry cleaning business. He and Isabel would later go. He and no, what's her name? Louise. There we go. It came to my mind at the last minute there. My bad. The Jeffersons would later rent their home to Gloria and Mike. Now, there was a lot of episodes, of course, first aired in 68. That was actually
71.
71. My bad here. I'm looking on the season, how many seasons it was. Sammy's Visit, first broadcasted on February 1972, is a notable episode whose famous episode ending scene produced one of the longest sustained audience laughter in the history of the show. Sammy Davis Jr. plays himself. Archie is moonlighting as a cab driver, and Davis visits the Bunker home to retrieve a briefcase. He left in Archie's cab earlier that day. After hearing Archie's bigoted remarks, Davis asks for a photograph of him. At the moment the picture is taken, Davis plants a kiss on Archie's cheek. Who cannot forget that, man? And the laughter from the audience went on for so long that it had to be edited for network broadcast. As Carol Connor still had that one line, well, to hell. He said it was in his contract to deliver the kiss, and the line was cut out in the syndication versions. Now, during the show's sixth season, starting in December of 1975, CBS began airing reruns on the weekdays at 3 p.m., replacing long running soap opera The Edge of Night, which then moved to ABC. The show would later move to 3:30 p.m. and in September of 1978, 10 a.m. This lasted until September of 1979 when Viacom distributed the reruns off the network market, where many stations had picked up the show in 1991. Columbia Pictures Television began syndicating the show, and Columbia's successor companies have continued to do so. Now, since the 1980s, All in the Family has been rerun on various cable and satellite networks, including TBS, TV Land, Nick at Night, and Sundance TV. From January of 2011 to December of 2017, the show aired on Antenna TV. And as of January 2018, the show began to air on the Get TV network. Since February 2023, Me TV aired many episodes of the program on Sunday nights, and all episodes have been aired nightly on the Catchy Comedy Network. What's called, it used to be called Decade Network, but now it's a new, different name. And the cast forfeited their residential rights for a cash payout earlier in the production run. Now, of course, there were spin offs, as we mentioned. Now, they spin off into five shows, three which were very successful, and two that really wasn't so successful, fortunately. In fact, it also says here, as well as two spin offs having a spin off of their own. The first one was, we mentioned, Maud, starring B. Arthur, who later gained fame once again as one of the Golden Girls. All right, there. The second one here, blah, blah, blah. Good Times is considered to be a lot more spin-off of Maud because, the two main characters, James and Florida Evans, started from Maud, as you know. And the show's focus on that program was Florida Evans, as mentioned, a character who's appeared on Maud during its initial season as the Finlay's Black Maid. But Good Times was a lot more grittier, lot more, it was a lot more, basically it was basically like All the Family, but from the ghetto's point of view, needless to say. It took place in Chicago and had a lot of stories, including heroin use, a crooked mayor, a lot of unemployment issues, a family struggling in and out to make ends meet, a husband who was only job opportunity he had at that moment was working at a car wash, and also had a Buffalo Butt Bookman, the landlord who doesn't really do that much of fixing things. All right. The second and longest spin-off from All in the Family was, of course, The Jeffersons, starring Sherman Hemsley and Isabel Sanford. Those two were definite chemistry duel, no doubt about that. Because you may remember years later on in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which aired on ABC, Hemsley appeared as the toy maker, or the toy. What's his guy's name? I forgot. He was one of the villains in the Superman series. Toy
I'm not
maker.
sure.
I know,
Yeah.
but it was a toy. Some guy who made toys that demented people's minds. I guess when he took a whiff of what was inside that box that they opened up. And alongside Helmsley was, of course, Isabel Sanford. I mean, there were many MTV parodies on the MTV Movie Awards, and guess who appeared on one of the parodies of Dumb and Dumber? Helmsley and Sanford. You know what's a real annoying sound? Louise!
Hmm.
Exactly. I mean, like, George was the owner of seven successful dry cleaning stores, and the series featured their life after moving from the Bunkers working class area to a high luxury apartment in Manhattan's East Side. Now, there was another series called Checking In, and that was spun off from The Jeffersons, focusing on their maid, Florence Johnson, who played, yeah, that's right. Now, what was her name? Maria Gibbs. That was her name. That's the
Hmm.
played her. She would later go on to do another series that was, what's that one series named, which Jackie also appeared on this series? I forgot the name there. But he was an exclusive housekeeper on the St. Frederick Hotel in Manhattan. And sadly, that show lasted only 4 weeks in 1981. And
Oh,
the character returned to her old job as the Jeffersons' maid. Now, Archie Bunker's Place that we mentioned was a spinoff, but essentially it was a renamed contribution to the series.
continuation.
Exactly. Continuation, my bad. I gotta get these glasses checked. It began in 1979, following the final season of the original. It was set in the neighborhood tavern which Archie Bunker purchased in the eighth season, and it aired for 4 seasons until April of 1983. And the third spinoff from the show was, of course, Gloria, focusing on Gloria Stibic, who's now divorced from her husband, raising their son Joey, starting a new life as an assistant trainee to a couple of veterinarians in New York. It premiered in 1982 and ran for 1 season.
Hmm.
And the last one was 704 Hauser Street, which features the Bunker's house with the new family, the Cumberbatches. It was a inversion of the formula of the original, featuring a black liberal couple with a conservative son who's dating a Jewish woman. Gloria and Mike's son, Joey Stibic, now in his 20s, makes a brief appearance in the first episode. 5 episodes aired in April and May of 1994, and the sixth one, sadly, was never aired.
Hmm.
All right, there. So we got to take a look at some of the episodes, definitely that we had. So I think probably one of the most gritty episode of that show was when some guy goes up to the Bunker's house and Edith's by herself, and this guy, pretends to be a police officer, but turns out he was a rapist. He takes advantage of Edith. She runs, I guess, to another house where Archie and Mike Stivic are there, and they go in and check, and I guess it touched on that subject very deeply on that. And what's really, and the thing is, when you think about it, it broke a lot of ground with those kind of episodes. I mean, it touched on racism. Probably one of the biggest, notable episodes for me was learning where Archie got his racism from. His dad. They had a talk about this. They had to talk about Archie kept coming up with all these slanderous terms for ethnic racists. Mike was like, I need to stop this. Where'd you get this from? He got it from his father. They were both drinking to keep themselves warm because they were in this cold cellar basement. And Mike was telling Archie he was wrong. He was wrong. And Archie's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. But you know what? That's where racism comes from. It is learned. It's not something you're born with. I mean, you see everybody else doing the same thing. You're going to figure it's okay to do it just as well. Like, and when you think about it, it still happens today when you think about it. There was this one black politician I remember whose name escapes me, and he was raised by members of the Black Panthers. And he still holds on to those values that the Black Panthers taught him to this very day. And I remember this being profiled on one of those Inside Edition type programs or a current affair, one of those shows. And what are your memories of the show? If you ever watch any episodes,
I'm sorry, what?
what was your favorite memories of the episodes that you watched as a kid?
Oh gosh. To begin with, I saw the show. It came out in 71. I was 21, so I was
Mm.
hardly a kid.
Oh, wow. I know my dad, me, and Michelle often watch the show a lot of times. And we watched the show basically for Archie. I know how he was. He was a grumpy guy. He was this, geez, what the hell, man? Which to a kid like myself at that time seemed very comical, seemed very funny at that time.
Well, the ironic thing for me was, in some ways, he was a lot like my father.
Mm.
My father didn't have the racism in him or the anti-Semitism,
Mm-hmm. But he was disgruntled.
but he was grumpy and disgruntled.
Yeah, it's true there. I think Carol Connor said in an interview that Archie Bunker was never a happy man. And I think probably one of the most touching moments was when Edith dies. Uh,
Hmm.
yes, that was I mean, and this took place during Archie Bunker's place period, right? If I'm correct?
Right.
Yes, and there was a big protest when that was announced to come on the upcoming season at that time. And maybe people say maybe Archie should die. Maybe Archie should croak instead of Edith because Edith was a sweet woman, but like we said, naive at times. And Archie was this grumpy, angry son of a bitch, who hated everything left and right, right and left. But eventually, during the course of the Archie Bunker's Plays seasons, he would befriend a black woman who was somewhat close to his age. I saw this scene on YouTube many months back. Someone who, I guess, some sort of pharmacist was questioning Archie, He even said, "Well, Archie, I never knew you'd be turned out to be a N-word lover." Archie decks the guy called follows back on some stuff because this took place at a drugstore. Archie grabs the woman's hand and says, "Come on, let's get her here." He pulled a knife. So at that point, Archie's starting to realize that racism is not the way to go. He's kind of like slowly turning away from that jazz. And it fits to say that now, Wired did send me a little thing about cause of death of Norman Lear. I did not know that he died. Let me look it up here.
Recently.
Yeah, recently, let me look this up here because I was taken back by myself about this because I had no clue about this. Okay, Mitch, let me look up here. I hate when this happens on my computer. Blah blah blah. I got to get this SOB checked because I'm thinking maybe something may be up with the internet or that little mechanism that I had issues with previously. Because this is the same computer that I used previously before I got the one that would later fly up on me. And I'm thinking this it's supposed to be fixed, but I'm thinking maybe something may be off still. I got to look into this sometime soon. Norman Lear, here we go. Screenwriter and film producer, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. He died December 5th of this soon to be past month. And he died in Los Angeles. And let's see here. He died, let's see here. He was also the man behind Sanford and Son, One Day at a Time, and of course the All in the Family, of course including the Jeffersons, Good Times, Maud, many other shows. In fact, he developed, created, and wrote over 100 shows to be
Oh.
exact. Yeah, that's an achievement right there. And let's see here. I guess Katie Siegel from Married to Children was also involved. Let's see here. Let me go to the Wikipedia, folks, and see any more about this one because this is intriguing. hmm he was also known for his political activism in funding of liberal and progressive causes and politicians. So he was a demo.
Mm-hmm.
In 1980, he founded the advocacy organization People for the American Way to counter the influence of the Christian right in politics. And in the early 2000s, he mounted a tour with a copy of the Declaration of Independence. He received many rewards, including 6 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Peabody Awards, the National Media of Arts Award in 1999, the Kennedy Center Honors in 2017, the Golden Globe Carol Burnett Award in 2021, and he was a member of the Television Academy Hall of Fame. So this man did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he was also in the military, believe it or not. He enlisted in the Army Air Forces in September of 1942. He served at the Mediterranean Theater as a radio operator and gunner. And in a 2014 interview, he talked about bombing Germany. He flew 52 combat missions and received the Air Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters. He was discharged from the Army forces in 1945. His World War II crew members are featured in the book Crew Integro, written by Daniel Carroll. All right. All right. So Norman Lear passed away this couple at the beginning of this month, December. And I'm surprised you never watched the show yourself.
How was that?
I'm sorry, I'm surprised you never saw this show because everybody was watching the show, but not just the one-liners, the skits, and also the storyline. In fact, there was this one story. I remember, where Edith opens the door and some group pays a swastika right on the front door. And Archie was like, I'm going to cover it up with Old Glory there. Turns out they took they mistook their house for somebody else's house. And the guy who later played the first lieutenant on Miami Vice, so what's his name? Hector, what's his name there?
I don't know.
I know, I gotta look up this guy's name. Let me look it up for you. Give me a couple seconds, folks. Because this man was like one of the great character actors next to Vincent D'Onofrio. He was involved with sitcoms like Barney Miller, many others. Hector, Hector Alonso. Let me see what we got here. Hmm. I forgot his name. Hector, let's see, what's his face? Miami Vice, because he was involved in that the first few seasons. One, two, three, four. Here we go. Hector Sandoval. No, this is not him. Son of a name goat. Oh, son of a. I cannot.
I have no idea, or I'd help you out.
I know. It's like, I have to look it up later on because I forgot his name. But he appeared in so many TV shows. The other person I know of that has done that equally was that guy named John Saxon. I remember seeing
Hmm.
him on Starsky and Hutch. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was in many TV roles, without a doubt. Many TV roles. But sadly, I cannot think of the guy's name. It was Hector something, and I just last name slipped my mind for some dumb reason. Okay, let me look it up there. All right. Mm-hmm. Son of the game. Come on, man. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. All right, there. Let's see here. Gregory Sinera. He played Lou Rodriguez. He also was involved with Barney Miller and a couple episodes of All the Family that I just mentioned. Thank goodness I found him. I had to go to the Miami Vice cast to look up the dude's name. But this man was like considered great actor. He's done a lot of work on TV sitcoms and movies and such. We one of these days we got to do a special on character actors that deserve full recognition. We got to do that sometime soon, man. Definitely.
Hmm.
Yes. All right, dear. Now I'm going to try. Maybe you could chance to get if Wire is available. We could possibly talk to him about his if he was a fan of the All in the Family series, but I pretty much doubt it because I don't know if he was born at that time. I'm going to add him to the call, see if
Okay.
he responds. It's been a while since we heard from the guy. I know he has sent he put my name across in concert from Van Halen from 1978. All right, let's see what we got here. Could probably answer or not. All right. Now I want to know, were there any families that were similar to the Bunkers? That's what I'd like
Oh,
to
I'm
know.
sure there were. I'm sure there were some.
Yeah. Well, because I'm thinking about my father. Now, my father was not really a racist guy, but he was disgruntled with everything that was going on with the Detroit because he complained many times about Detroit, being, a black haven with all the crime and all that stuff that went on. My mom was the same way, and I think a lot of that plays out in a lot of old men, old women out there around this period of time. They grew up with these certain values, and here's this world around them suddenly changing around them, and they're having trouble coping with it. And a lot of them don't really want to change. They don't want to accept the new world that's out there. They hold on to the values that they know because that's what they grew up learning.
Right.
Yes. All right. So I think one of the most interesting moments of All in the Family was the toilet flushing. Every time that toilet was flushed, everybody would laugh like crazy. In fact, it reminds me of another episode about when you rip up a chain letter, you get bad luck. Archie, Edith was writing all these chain letters. You remember how those went?
Yeah.
It would, she would, Archie looks at it, he rips it up and says, "This is nonsense. What are you doing this for?" Edith tells him, it's bad luck to rip up a chain letter. And next thing you know, all these things start happening in the house, including the toilet overflowing and such. You see Mike running upstairs with the plunger. A lot of issues going on. Um, Gloria's miscarriage was a serious topic for the program.
Right.
That was a sad thing there for sure, because they were trying to have a child, no doubt about that. I think it also fits to say that some of George Jefferson's antics alongside bunkers were also definitely gold.
Right.
I mean, for instance, there was this one episode where George is asking Archie for a favor at some sort of office running, I guess it's called. They have a disagreement. George walks away, and earlier on, George brings over a cake for the Buckers to enjoy. When George walks out of the house, Archie says, "Boy, that George really takes the cake, doesn't he?" George walks right back in the house, grabs the cake from the kitchen table as Mike was about to shout out on it, and walks right out the door. Oh, man, how many would love to see those two hosts do some color commentary for a wrestling show? You thought Bobby Heenan and them Girl Monsoon was the stuff. Maybe you should check out these two if they were still alive in full character. All right, there. So let me go back here. We got here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we go. All in the Family episodes. I mean, look at that. The various episodes. We got to talk about the episodes. That's for sure, because there was a lot of them. Okay,
Okay.
Archie's aching back. Let me talk about this. All right. He tries to sue for whiplash after he is in a minor auto accident. Then it turns out to be a fake, so he gives up that fight, that's for sure. All right. Mike's hippie friends come to visit, and he objects. Of course, Archie objects to that because they're not married, even though they're staying for one night at the house. Edith has, jury duty.
Hmm.
hmm Gloria discovers Woodman's lib. She moves out of the bunker household, and as a result of an argument with Mike when she demands that he treat her as an equal. Something that women were complaining of around that time. Remember Gloria Steinem with the women's
Right.
liberation movement that she was behind?
Right.
Yes, that was a big topic there. All right, I'm looking up more episodes, that's for sure. Okay, okay, let's look up this one here. Gloria's pregnancy. Gloria has the belly full. The Stivics start apartment hunting after Gloria finds out that she is pregnant, making Archie furious. Although he eventually he comforts her after she has a miscarriage. And of course, Lionel moves into the neighborhood, Lionel Jefferson, and Archie, of course, is not happy that a black family is moving next door. Edith has jury duty for a murder trial, and She is a, and the person, and Archie is, damn, here we go. Ah, she alone thinks that the accused is not guilty. Archie is upset that Edith is not home to take care of him, one of those possessive type of guys.
Yeah.
hmm Archie is worried about his job. He spends the night worrying about his job when his company announces layoffs. Who hasn't done that in their time?
Right.
Who hasn't worried about their job, being sacrificed when they get laid off? Because that has happened a few times in the past. Okay. Now, Archie is also visited by an old buddy from the army, Eddie Frazier, played by Willie Wyndham, who's now a wealthy car dealer. Mike, who openly resents Eddie's wealth, secretly learns that Eddie isn't as successful in one area of his life, business. And the first and last supper, just as Archie is campaigning to keep black families out of the neighborhood, accepts a dinner invitation from the Jeffersons. Ah, all right. Now here's another one. Archie's freeloading cousin. His name is Oscar. He unexpectedly dies during a 2-week visit, and none of Archie's relatives are willing to help with funeral expenses. Mike and Archie are then left to decide whenever to give Oscar a proper funeral or have him buried in the potter's field. Right?
Okay.
Okay, here's another one here. Oh, here's one. Archie and the lockup. Archie ends up in jail when he tries to save Mike and Lionel from trouble at a demonstration. Tim Reed, who later appears in WKRP in Cincinnati as Venus Flytrap, appears in an uncredited role as Archie's cellmate. Now, Edith writes a song. Edith wants to spend money in the heart in the Bunker family cash pot to enter a songwriting contest. But Archie would rather use the money to buy a gun due to a recent series of burglaries in the neighborhood. The family has an encounter with two black crooks whose names are Coke Horace, played by Damon Wilson, who later gained fame as Lamont Sanford in Sanford and Son. All right,
Okay.
all right. And I'm going to mention a few more episodes. Edith's accident. While shopping at Ferguson's Market, Edith has an accident with a car involving a shopping cart full of canned clean peaches and heavy syrup and leaves a note for the owner, a Catholic priest who doesn't sit well for Archie on both counts. Here's one, the blockbuster. A black realtor offers Archie 35,000 to sell the house. Lionel refers to him as an Oreo cookie, black on the outside and white in the middle. That's something there. All right. There was this one episode I remember where Archie on uppers for a while. And then late at night, while everybody's trying to sleep, Archie's painting the porch, this color, that color, while singing out loud, blah blah blah. That would have been a sight, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so guess I guess we covered a lot of episodes. There's
Yeah.
not much more we can go further. I can go on, but that'd be kind of boring, and I don't want to bore you. Mm-hmm.
Well,
What?
that I can't really think of anything else.
Mm. All right, there. No doubt about that. All right, there. Let's see here. A lot of stuff. A lot of guest appearances on by artists, on people here. Okay, here. All right, so I think this will probably be it for tonight's episode of TV Memories, I guess you could say here.
Yeah,
We could go through all the episodes, but that would take way too long, and it would probably bore the hell out of everybody watching this program later on.
yeah, I think there
So,
was over 200 of them. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So I guess the best thing to do is look up All in the Family episodes on Wikipedia to get the main description of the episode's plot. That'd be probably be the best option. All right, there. So I guess that'll be it. I guess for our look at All the Family, one of the most pioneering series on TV. There, some consider it the predecessor to reality TV. When you think about it. All right. So next Wednesday, Music Maniacs returns, and we're going to be taking a look at probably one of the biggest sound albums of all time, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Correct?
yeah, and then maybe Thursday we do the thing that YR wanted to do.
Okay, look, yeah, we got to get a hold of YR. Definitely, that's for sure. I tried to add him on to the call early on, but I think he only popped in for a couple seconds and then took off. So I'll leave a message with YR, possibly later on tonight or tomorrow on that lunch break at work. And everybody enjoy your upcoming weekend, your last for 2003, 2000, wait a minute,
23.
23. My bad. So everybody, I hope everybody had a good 2023, and I hope that 2024 is just as good, just as badass. I know I had a great year, that's for sure, here in Florida. Good job, good places to hang out.
Cool.
Exactly, good relations with my sister, brother-in-law, and such nephews. Had a great time this past Christmas and Thanksgiving. Appreciate them for coming over from Michigan and Kentucky. All right, and for Arknolia and myself, you guys enjoy your upcoming weekend. Like I said, the last of 2023, and we'll see you all at the beginning of 2024 with our look at Dark Side of the Moon and that one suggestion that YR came up with honoring those who passed away this soon to be past year. All right, everybody.
Alrighty.
All right, there. We'll see you later on. All right, bye bye.
All
Hey
right.
there,
Bye
Ark.
now.
All right, bye
Yeah.
bye.